Hello everyone. Yes, and we are back. So guys, I'm recording your tudes, which is week 10 tudes. So in the lecture I spoke about manuscript writing in terms of writing the introduction, the methods, and the discussion. So now we'll be looking at how to write your, not write, but how to undertake your data analysis, and then how to write your results. Okay, so I'll start with the details now. Basically, as I said, that you will need to use SPSS to do your data analysis for your section 2 and section 3 of your questionnaire. All right. And that is the information you're collecting before intervention, after intervention, section 2 and section 3. Okay, so that is what we'll be working on. Then before I go to the SPSS analysis, the very first table which you will be reporting is descriptive data analysis. So what is descriptive data? This is something which you can do simply on Excel if you don't know how to use SPSS, which is calculating your means, your standard deviation, your percentages, your frequency. Frequency is this n value. Okay, so frequency and n is the same. Okay, so means and standard deviation, this is how they are written. So this is what you will be calculating. And then as I said, this is called frequency, and obviously this is percentage. So this can be calculated on Excel, and this can be calculated most certainly on SPSS as well. If you just YouTube guys how to calculate means on SPSS, you have like a bajillion videos out there. Okay, so even if you haven't learned this as part of your epi, and if you have, that is great, but if you haven't, rest assured there are like a million YouTube videos to guide you. Okay, you don't need to buy a textbook or anything, it's all there on YouTube. So how do you calculate your means and your standard deviations and your frequencies and percentages on SPSS? I won't be going through that because that is super basic. When I was teaching epi, I used to hold a workshop, a face-to-face live workshop, and we used to do that. But I can't do it, guys, within the scope of this unit. All right, so that's why I would encourage you, YouTube, and try calculating your mean, standard deviation, percentages, all of that in SPSS, because the more well-versed you are with SPSS, the better it is for your placement and definitely for your job, all right, in the future. Okay, so that is going to be your table 1. So the table 1 in your manuscript is going to be descriptive analysis. You have your section 1 of your questionnaire, and that section 1 is asking things such as education, income, gender, age, ethnicity, all of that stuff. All of that information will be compiled in table 1 for your descriptive data. All right, I'll show you. I had this one amazing student last year. She was the only one actually who had scored an HD, meaning her group had scored an HD. I'll show you her tables. Her tables were fantabulous. I hardly had any comments in her work. It was so good. So I'll show you her document at the end of everything. So you get a feel of how your table 1 should look, how your table 2 should look, all of that stuff. Okay, so I'll show you a real life example. Of course, it is previous students' work. I cannot share it with you, but you will at least have a video which is recorded like this, and you can go back to it and you can like learn from it. Okay, so yes, this slide basically tells you table 1 of your manuscript will be descriptive data. Descriptive data is something which you gather from your section 1 of your questionnaire. Okay. Now this, guys, just shows you how your table 1 will look. This is from one of my papers, where if you see, I have age, BMI, education, religion, all of those kind of basic social demographic characteristics. If you see over here, and this is not compulsory, but individuals who want to do it, definitely I encourage them to do it. I have given my mean scores over here as well. Okay, but for example, Why have I done this? You have pre-post intervention mean score. So now when I think of it, it is good not to have it in your table 1 because you will not have anything in your table 2 then. Yeah, leave it. Table 1 should only be descriptive data, which should come from your section 1 of your questionnaire. All right, full stop, period. That's it. As simple as it can get. Okay, so hope this is simple enough. So this is a example from one of my research papers. This is how you design your table 1. The most relevant part for you is this much. Can you see age, BMI, education, religion? So this first part of this image is what is most important for you. That is how your descriptives will look. And I'll show you how the student had reported descriptives in her paper as well. Basically, she had followed my guidelines to the T. Like, you know, I mean, it was really good. So it was like she had completed her learning curve, which is great. Okay, so guys, this is as simple as it gets. Table 1 is super simple. You can do it on Excel. You can do it on SPSS. There are a million YouTube videos out there. You are sorted. Okay. So now going to your bivariate analysis, which is the most important one, which is where you have to use your SPSS software. As I said, there are ways with which you can do paired sample t-test in Excel as well. So for some unforeseen reason, if you don't have SPSS access to it, all of that, if the world is like, you know, going against you, well, YouTube how to do paired sample t-test in Excel, and Excel should tell you. Okay, but as I said, don't just rely on Excel, guys. In our field in dietetics, we are not accountants. Excel is not something which we use frequently. What we use frequently in terms of, say, if you are a clinical research dietitian or a community research dietitian, stuff like that, you will be using a statistical software, and SPSS is one of the most common statistical software. For example, if there are some of you in class who I know are good at stats, if you are using Stata or R, totally cool with it. You can use any software which you want as long as you're confident using it. Okay, so it's not like you have to use SPSS only. Use anything, but just get it right. Okay, so you're good with using anything else. And guys, I'll show you how to do the analysis in SPSS as part of this video as well. So I'll literally show you which buttons to press and stuff like that. So I'll go through all of these slides and then I'll come back to that. Okay, so I will literally show you how do you do the analysis in SPSS. So now guys, this is your brief analytical plan. All right, remember for all of you, your pre-intervention data is your IV, which for over here I have said it's perception regarding veggie intake, but for you it could be anything, knowledge and awareness for that fruit and vegetable or whatever it is, okay? So pre-intervention thing is your IV, post-intervention thing, change in knowledge is your DV. Okay, so that is standard for all of you in the class. Okay, so now going on to SPSS, we'll be looking at the how to do SPSS. So yeah, the first step is open the SPSS document. Okay, once you open the SPSS document, you will need to learn how to enter data in SPSS. Again, a billion YouTube videos out there to show you how do you enter data in SPSS. And your data is not really that difficult to enter. I'll show you the real SPSS document. It's super simple. Okay, once you enter data in SPSS, which is your pre-post intervention data, after data entry, then you start and you run a paired sample t-test. Okay, so and we'll go through that. How do you run a paired sample t-test? But see guys, this is what, like, you know, when I was doing EPI, I had actually, I used to show students how to enter data in SPSS and do their bivariate and some basic multivariate analysis, but that's not possible with this unit. So if you have learned it as part of your EPI, which is fantastic. If not, YouTube it. Okay, there are many YouTube videos out there. Okay. So guys, this is just a table to show you how your paired sample t-test table 2 will look visually. So you will have pre-intervention findings and you will have post-intervention findings. T-test gives you results in terms of mean scores and standard deviations. So that's why you will have mean score standard deviations, pre-intervention and post-intervention, and you will have the p-value. This is what you report when you are reporting a paired sample t-test result in form of a table. Okay, I repeat myself. You report means, standard deviations, pre-intervention, post-intervention, and p-value when you are reporting results in a tabular form for paired sample t-test. I hope that is super clear. All right. Then, guys, how do you write results in your results section for your paired sample t-test? So this is how you write it. So see, writing your descriptive results is like super simple. Okay, which is say like you had 70% of your population was females. That is not rocket science. Now, if you look at the way I write results in my previously published manuscript, again, that's why it's very important to look at a few of my previous papers. For your table 1 particularly, which is descriptive data, which is mean, standard deviations, percentages, and frequencies, basically, guys, you don't repeat the information in your result writing, which is already there in the table. Okay, so for instance, if you have written in your, if you have tabulated in your table that in your population 60% are female, obviously we know that 40% are then male. Okay, but basically in your write-up, then you don't write the same information which is in my sample 60% are female. Obviously 60% are female, we can see it in your table. Okay, so you don't repeat information which is already there in your table in your writing of your results. Okay, that is called being redundant, and that is not a good indicator of scientific writing. Okay, so don't repeat information which is there in your table 1. All right, so generally for example, the way I write my descriptives from that table 1 is, for instance, I would have few variables, which if my table 1 is getting very clutterish, meaning a lot of variables in my table 1, then what I do is certain variables I report in writing and I don't have it in my table. For instance, if I feel there's a lot of information going on in table 1, say I have income, education, ethnicity, age, gender, BMI as a, and so then what I do is then that is my writing style. I may report BMI as percentages in the table, meaning underweight, overweight, healthy weight, all of that as percentages in the table. And I will report BMI as a continuous variable, meaning as means and standard deviations in the writing of my results. All right. Now, again, guys, as I said, I don't teach EPI this semester. It's very difficult for me to tell you. If you don't know what a continuous and categorical variable, God help you. Okay. So guys, very briefly, if I have to go through, I can just tell you that for continuous variables, you report means and standard deviations. For categorical variables, you report frequency and percentages. You can have the same variable in a continuous form and in a categorical form. For example, something like BMI, which you calculate from the child or the adult's height and weight, you can report the BMI as mean and standard deviation, meaning the mean BMI of your sample, or the mean meaning average, right? So the average BMI of your sample is 23 plus minus 3.4 standard deviation, stuff like that. And you can use the same variable and report it categorically as per World Health Organization BMI cutoffs, which is underweight, overweight, healthy weight, obese, stuff like that. Okay, so there are a few variables which you can report in a continuous nature and in a categorical nature. These variables are things such as BMI, age, yeah, those are on top of my head. There are going to be specific variables which are just going to be categorical in nature. They cannot be continuous in nature, meaning you cannot have means and standard deviations out of them. These variables are things such as income, education, ethnicity, gender. These are your categorical variables. Your categorical variables could be bivariate, meaning male, female, that's it. Or else it could be multi-categorical variables such as ethnicity, Indian, Christian, Islamic, Buddhist, okay, atheist, all of those. Sorry, I've been talking like the entire day today to record lectures. Okay, guys, so yes, as I said, when you write your results, the first thing which you write your result is some part of your descriptive data. Okay, now the second thing which you write in your results is your t-test, okay, findings, which is your pre-post intervention, which is your section 2 finding and your section 3 finding. That you can say is like, you know, the second part of your results section. So now how do you write findings from t-test? Again, all of this is there in my epi slide. This is just a repetition of it. So if I were to write t-test result, I would say, for example, on average. Why have I written the term on average? Because as I said, paid sample t-test gives you means and standard deviations. Okay, that is something which comes out in the SPSS output, and mean is nothing but it is average. Okay, so in colloquial terms, you would call mean average. Okay, so on average, mean serum vitamin D levels were significantly higher post intervention, and see the mean and standard deviation which I have reported along with the unit values. Okay, because what is this? This is vitamin D levels, and vitamin D levels are measured as microgram per ml. Okay, in comparison to pre-intervention, and again you have the same mean standard deviation with the units. This values you will find from your SPSS, which is p value is 3.8. Okay, so remember this p value is 3.8. This which is there in the bracket 148, that is degree of freedom. Now this degree of freedom unit or this value is again something which you find in your SPSS output. When I do the SPSS right now in front of you, I'll show you where you find it. Okay. Higher the t-test value, this one, the stronger are your results. Okay. And because as I said, your data is a mock data in which you are learning the basic skills at the moment. It is in a simulated setting that you are doing it. That's why you have your classmates who would be answering in a particular pattern where everybody has like literally no knowledge before intervention and everybody has knowledge after intervention. You will definitely see that your t values are bigger and stronger. Okay. And then you have your p value, which is that your findings are significant. And as I said, because this is in a simulated setting, mock setting, it is for you to learn the basic skills to get your fundamentals right. You will see that your p values are significant. Okay, because that is how I have designed the data for you. All right. Okay. So, yes, this is just again, guys, which I'm telling you that how do you write your descriptive results? How do you write your bivariate results? This is the only information and guidelines I can give you as part of this unit. Being recorded. I just, oh yes, is it? Oh, it's been recorded. Thank goodness. I don't know why I just felt that nothing is being recorded and I was literally about to cry because this is a lot of talking. Freaking out, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay, now coming back to the point. Yeah. So guys, this is a max that I can tell you on how do you write your results section. As I said, in your results section, you start with writing your descriptive analysis first, all right, which is your mean, standard deviation, those kind of things. Don't repeat what is already there in the table. And a trick for this, which I have shown you, is which is writing like, you know, the things which is not there actually in your table, which is like, you can have categorical BMI in your table, but you can write it as mean and standard deviations in your results. Okay, so that's the trick which you can use. Okay, so and then you go on to writing your bivariate analysis, which is your section 2 and 3. And that actually a working example is what I already showed you in the slide previously. How do you write t-test results? And then guys, if you have done any sort of process evaluation where you have your qualitative findings, which is in quotation marks and stuff like that. Or else if you have some quantitative plus qualitative findings for your process evaluation, those are the kind of things which you can report as part of your third paragraph of writing in your results section. Okay, so if you want, you may not have any tables for your process evaluation and you may write everything out, or you may report the quantitative findings of your process evaluation in a table, and the qualitative stuff like those open-ended comments that people may give you, you may want to write that out. Okay, so as I said that handling process evaluation is part of the person who's responsible for writing the results. This is not a responsibility for the person writing the discussion. Okay, because discussion, you want to focus your word count, and your focus should be on your pre-post results. Okay, so this is for guys the PowerPoint. It just makes it easier for me to switch between things. Now what I'll do is, hang on, let me see, I've gone through the rubrics, so that is done. Then yes, I'll just quickly recap. I'll show you recap on how to calculate mean scores before I go on to the SPSS sheet. Okay, so I'll just share that with you. So guys, this is the questionnaire. This is the example questionnaire which I had gone through in one of my videos. It was, I think, for your week 6 tutorial is where I had gone through the questionnaire. So guys, this is your section 2. Your section 2 is your true and false sort of questions where you just have one answer right in all of your options. So guys, at the end, the calculation for this is very easy. So pre-intervention, you may have me as a participant who had 2 out of 7 answers right. And post-intervention, after hearing your education session, and you guys were so amazing and stuff like that. So then I understood everything and I had 6 out of 7 options which were right. Okay. So this is very, very easy to calculate. Okay. So your pre-intervention data, post-intervention data for section 2 is just calculating numbers. It's like super easy. Okay. Now section 3, where you have your Likert scale, you need to see. Now, if you look at this, this looks like a categorical variable, right? Agree, slightly agree, neutral, slightly disagree, disagree. This looks like a 5 scale category, but you can actually make this into a continuous variable, okay? Which is like the fun part. All right, so how do you make this into a continuous variable? So this is the thing, guys. So to calculate mean scores, you add up all of the numbers pre-intervention. Okay, so for example, when you gave me this questionnaire before the intervention, these were my responses: 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay, these were my responses before the intervention. So then you add it up: 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, my responses. Then you divided by total number of items in a construct. So this is my construct. This is my one construct. The total number of items which I have is 4. So I divided by 4. So my mean score is 1.5. So then my pre-intervention score is 1.5 out of 5. What is this 5? This 5 is the 5-point Likert scale. Does that make sense? So the denominator 5 over here is based upon the 5-point Likert scale, which is consistent for all of you guys. All of you have the same denominator, which is 5. Okay. Your mean score pre-intervention, this is how you calculate. And similarly, when you gave me the questionnaire after the intervention, maybe my responses were 4, 5, 5, 4. Okay. So then you do the same thing: 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 4 divided by 4. And then you get an average of 4.5 out of 5. Is this like super clear how to calculate mean scores? Can't get more simple than this. Okay. So this is how you calculate your mean scores. All right. So then you had, see, you can do the same thing actually for your process evaluation. If you have a quantifiable process evaluation, you can calculate mean scores in the same manner. All right. And obviously process evaluation is only done at the end. So you won't have a pre-post intervention process evaluation score. You will have a post-intervention only process evaluation score, which is logical. It's absolutely right to have that. Okay, so I hope this is clear, guys, because this is really simple. Okay, so basically, guys, that's what I'm saying. Like, lecturers, they don't teach you all of these things. But like when I was a student, and it's like, lecturers sometimes what I feel, they just assume that they will learn this in so and so subject. Like ideally, this all information should be part of a unit such as epidemiology and health research or statistics actually. It's more applicable for a unit such as statistics. But I don't know. It's like, if you don't learn it over there, then you need to learn it at one time point, right? So whatever I can really push in this unit, even such stuff, I try to push it in, but there is only so much that I can push in. Like I can really then start a statistics class within this unit, right? Then it's not fair. So that's the max I can do, guys, with this. But basically, even having this much amount of knowledge will help you sort out your assignments, is what I'm saying. So I bring you up to a knowledge which you are good to go with your assignments. You can say survive in your placements, and you can like say kind of fake it till you make it in your real life job situation. But as I said, to grow in your job situation, you will need to keep on learning. You will need to keep on expanding your statistical knowledge, especially if you are in a position which is, say, a clinical research dietitian or a community research dietitian. And as I said, there are a lot of positions now which are coming up like this. Or else, if you proactively want to do something like this in your work position, then yes, you will need all of this kind of knowledge. Getting back to the topic. So guys, this is how you calculate your mean score, and this is how you calculate your section 2 responses for each and every individual participant. Okay, so for example, this is my questionnaire. I as your participant, this is how you calculate my data. Okay, you have to do that. You have to do this calculation for all of your 32 or 30 classmates which you have. Okay, so this calculation for section 2 and mean score calculation for section 3. All right, and you may, if you have a section like this, which is an optional one, but if you have like this, then mean scores for this section 4 as well. Okay, so this calculation you have to do for each of your questionnaire, meaning pre-intervention and post-intervention for all 30 participants, meaning say 60 participants if it was like, if you have, I think you have 32 classmates actually. But yeah, so and 3 of you will be presenting, so around 28 or something. Okay, 28, 29. So for all of those, pre and post is what you will have to do. So roughly for 60 people, um, just a whole number, you will have to do this calculations. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, once you have done these calculations, then you are ready to feed this data into SPSS. Okay, not before that. All right. So you can do this calculation, you can note it down on an Excel sheet, pre-intervention, post-intervention, these numbers which you calculate. If you are more of a book person, you can note it down in a notebook, pre-intervention, post-intervention scores for section 2, section 3, process evaluation, stuff like that. Okay, for each of your participant. Once you have that data ready, now you are ready to open SPSS and actually have your data in SPSS. Students who are already familiar with working between SPSS and Excel, once you have this data entered into Excel, you can copy paste it into SPSS if you don't know how to export it. If nothing, you just write these scores in a notebook and then type it into SPSS. Okay, that's like as simple as it can get. Okay, it can't get more manual than this. All right, guys. So this is your say, this is how you do your, what do I say, what am I saying, yeah, you do your first, say, data scoring. Okay, so this is how you develop your mean scores, and this is how you calculate your data at this level. Now after you have calculated your data, now you start with your analysis. Okay, and after I show you the analysis on SPSS, then I'll show you the previous student's work where I said she had amazing tables and appendix. I'll leave that till the end. Okay, so now I'll be sharing with you the screen for SPSS. Okay, so share screen for SPSS. Hang on. I'll just open it. Okay, so share SPSS screen. So guys, this is my SPSS screen and I hope all of you can see it. Okay, so I'll just widen these columns so it's easy for you to see. Now guys, if you see, if you see these two columns, and I'll just highlight this, okay? This is my section 2, okay? My responses for my section 2. So if you see correct answers, pre-intervention, correct answers, I'll just open this as well so it's easier for you to read. So correct answers, pre-intervention, correct answers, post-intervention, these two columns are from my section 2, okay? So for example, if this participant 1 is me, I am your participant, then I gave you 3 correct answers before the intervention, then I gave you 8 correct answers after the intervention. The denominator for this depends upon the way you have constructed your section 2, okay? So for me, my denominator for this was 10. So 3 out of 10, 8 out of 10, okay? So definitely I could see that there is a change in knowledge. If you see, the maximum score which I have is 10 out of 10, okay? So that was my highest denominator. Over here, this is just a mock data set, so I have 9 participants, okay? But you guys, you have more classmates, you will have more number of participants. As I said, you will have at least 27, 28 participants, something like that, okay? So I hope this is very, very clear. These two columns are from section 2. This is pre-intervention correct answer. This is post-intervention correct answer. This is 3 out of 10. This is 8 out of 10. This denominator will be different for all of you depending upon the number of items you have in your section 2. Okay. Now, these two columns are pertaining to your section 3. Okay. So this is pre-intervention mean score and this is post-intervention mean score. Remember, you can do a paired sample t-test only if you have a pair, okay? So meaning this one person, which is me, you have measured me before the intervention, after the intervention, that's why that's one pair of response from me, a participant, okay? So that's why we are using paired sample t-test because you have measured my responses at 2 time points, but I'm the same person. That's why it's a paired sample t-test. Hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, similarly, if you see over here, pre-intervention mean scores were 1.2 out of 5. Over here, the denominator is same for all of you because all of you have a 5-point Likert scale. So it is 1.2 out of 5 and this is 4 out of 5. Does that make sense? All of you have the same denominator. And if you see, the maximum you can go is 5 out of 5. Okay, so the denominator for your section 3 is the same. Denominator for this section 2 depends upon what, how many ever responses you have, items you have. Okay, so now how do you do a paired sample t-test? You go to, now before I show you the analysis, I'll just show you guys how did I come with all of these kind of writings over here. This is what I'm saying. YouTube, how do you do data entry in SPSS? Okay, so basically guys, these numbers which you have, see I'm pressing data view. Okay, so this kind of sheet is in data view and this kind of sheet is in variable view. Okay, so now in data view you can like manually type in numbers like this. Okay, so you can actually type in numbers. If you don't know anything else, you just manually type in your numbers and you will have your 4 columns ready. But you need to label your columns, right? That this is pre-intervention, this is post-intervention, stuff like that. Okay, so that labeling of the columns is what you have to do in variable views. And this is where you manually type in what your columns are. Column 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And nominal scale is what for continuous variable. This is for categorical variable. My apologies, this is a mistake. Everything is actually is a scale over here. Everything is a continuous variable. Okay, so everything is a continuous variable over here. That's why I have it as scale. and all my data is numeric. Okay, and this is how I have labeled my columns. And you can have the same thing over here. See, out of 10, I just write in more information because it's easier for me. So guys, I won't go into detail of how do you actually do data entry in SPSS, because that is something which you can learn it from YouTube. It's pretty straightforward, or else if you're taught in EPI. Okay. All right, guys, then I go to my data view again over here. All right, so now you know this is section 2, this is section 3, this is pre-intervention, post-intervention, section 2, pre-intervention, post-intervention, section 3. I hope everybody's following me until now. It's as simple as it can get. Okay, now you go to analysis. Okay, within analysis, then you go to compare mean. Okay, so I'll just take this very slowly so that you can do it when you do it in your own time. So you go to analysis, you go to compare means. All right, then you go to paired sample t test. Okay, analysis, compared mean, paired sample t test. Okay, click on that paired sample t test. Then you take in these responses. So I'll put this in the center so it's easier for you to see. I'll widen this thing so it's again easier for you to see what columns I'm putting where. So if you remember, guys, you had, obviously you remember, I mean, I just spoke about it. Okay, so you just have 4 columns. All right, so this 2 columns, the first two, one is for section 2. This next two, one is for section 3. So now section 2 pre-intervention goes over here. Section 2 post-intervention goes over here. So guys, they should be in the same row. Okay, so my first pair is section 2 pre and post intervention. Now my second pair is section 3 pre-intervention and post-intervention. Don't jumble this up. Okay, so this pair 1 is in relationship to your questionnaire section 2 pre-post. Pair 2 is in relationship to your questionnaire section 3 pre-post. Okay, options, nothing. I just wanted to see if anything I have to tell you. You don't do anything, you don't have to press anything. As long as you have entered this data over here correctly, you are sorted, you're all good to go. Then just press OK. Okay, that's it for your assignment. You don't have to go any further with SPSS beyond this for your assignment purpose. Okay, this is as simple as it can get. That's why I encouraged you that once you look at this video, you note down the steps, what button you have to press and how. Just download that 14 days free student software version of IBM SPSS and do it on your computers and your life is sorted. Okay, so this is as simple as it can get. And this is how you do paired sample t-test with your questionnaire data on SPSS for your assignment. 3 manuscript. Okay. So now I wanted to share with you, just as an FYI, this is just an FYI, the last year student's work, because she had done a wonderful job. So I'll just share that with you. This will just give you an idea as to how you can report it, like, you know, as a student at your level, how you can report good tables and get good marks. Okay, so let me just share that with you. So here you go, guys. So this is, if you see over here, see, she has done extra work. Okay, so she meaning her group. All right. So I'm just talking in terms of the group leader who submitted this assignment, but basically the credit goes to the entire group. They had done wonderful work. All of their sections were amazing. So she has table 2 over here because she had actually reported her recruitment strategy in table 1. You don't have to do that. As I said, it's not compulsory. These are additional tables that they developed because they wanted the marks and stuff like that. Means they wanted those HDs and things. But the basics, the basic minimum table which you have to report is what I'm showing you. this will ideally be your table 1. Okay, so for you, this will be your table 1, the basic minimum thing. Okay, this will be descriptive statistics of the demographic characteristics. That's not the best title, but you get the feeling. Okay, so last year they had 22 students in the class. Okay, so that's why n is equal to 22. And you know, guys, basically what am I trying to say? There is only so much I can give you as a lecturer, but because I had told them, just like I'm telling you, that go to my previous publication, see how I have written and stuff like that. All of these minute information which she has, which is reporting things such as n value in a title, which is one of the best practice which you can do in scientific writing. I haven't told them all of these things because it's impossible for me, like, you know, in a lecture setting to go through all of these minute details. But because I have given them the right resources, they have done as a group all of this additional homework to make their tables so comprehensive, or even their writing so comprehensive, as a matter of fact. Okay, so it was all these minute details and I was like super impressed. I'm like, they have really done their homework. It's like they have really utilized all of those resources which I've given them for the self-study. They are just not relying on my lecture slides. They have gone above and beyond the lecture slides in doing good work. And guys, this is how you report your participant characteristics. As I said, you have, you know, you report means and standard deviations for your continuous variables. And similarly, she has reported the categorical ones in her results section, in her write-up. Okay, so then she's reported all of these kind of things. Again, as I said, country of birth, they had many countries, but in their methodology, they explain that for analytical purposes, they have then synchronized the data to 2 of these, because there were no other countries reported in, like, you just, if you just have one person born in India randomly, you would just have it as others. Okay, so that's why they just have 2 country of births. They don't have 6 items for it. Similarly, residing in New Zealand, education, if you see, then in their questionnaire, they had 6 options for education. But then they summarized this data into 2 options, which is completed high school and undergraduate degree, because all of their participants just had data for these 2 things. Okay, and that's why I'm saying that you should know how to say, minimize the number of categories which you have for your descriptive data analysis. You can't be reporting on 6 income levels and 6 education levels and 6 religions or ethnicity. You have to see if maximum of your participants have reported on the top on 3, those are the ones which you want. If they have reported, maximum have reported on 2, and the others can be clubbed as others, and you define your others in your methodology, you're good. Okay, that is how you report your results. Okay, so she reported all of these kind of socio-demographic data. This income level, if you see, she has a tiny little a and things. They have actually said, like, you know, means this a is from the New Zealand census data. So basically what they have done is they have divided according to the 2013 New Zealand census data. This is earning above and below the medium income. So this kind of thought process is what they have put as part of their descriptive analysis. So this is how they have categorized their income, above and median income level, based upon the New Zealand census data. Okay, why they have used 2013 is because they had another data set which they are working on. I won't go into the details of it, but basically what am I saying? They have all of this kind of, like, you know, means references for it. Because, you know, how I had encouraged you that your section 1 should be based upon some ABS sort of statistics. So she has actually used that, which is good. Then you go on to your, this will be ideally table 2 for you. Okay, so your table 2, as I said, is from your, those correct number of answers, pre-intervention, post-intervention. So if you see, she has reported means and confidence interval, because she was very confident in her t-tests and she was good at statistics. But as I said, you are free to report means and standard deviations. So you will have mean, then you'll have plus minus standard deviation, And I have shown you in the SPSS output, where can you search for means and standard deviations. Okay, so these are her pre-intervention versus post-intervention results with her p-value. The t and degree of freedom, all of that she is written in her actual writing of her results. For your table 2, basically, you can just report your mean, standard deviation, p-values in the table, and in the writing of a result section, that is where you can have your t's, degree of freedom, stuff like that. Okay, now guys, if you see this study developed question based on New Zealand physical activity guidelines. Okay, so as I had encouraged you that your questionnaire, you can have them, you can use previously validated previous literature in informing the development of your study developed question. This is what they had done. This another section which they have as part of their section 2. So in their section 1, in their section 2, they had section 2A and section 2B. Okay, so they had, that's why they have like 2 t tests in this section 2. Okay, so now if you see in that section, this section 2B, this is also study developed question, but it is based on theory of planned behavior. So you see that they have developed their own questions based upon previous literature and based upon health behavioral models. In their area of work, they did not have any previously validated questionnaire, which is totally understandable, but they have not just stuck to one thing. They have tried developing their questionnaires in multiple formats, which is using health behavioral models, using previous literature, even if there are no validated questionnaires, to adapt their questions from. Okay, so this is how your section 2 tables will look. Okay, and section 3 tables will also look the same way. Okay, then guys, they had done process evaluation, and if you see process evaluation, as I said, you can still calculate mean scores, and they had done quantifiable process evaluation, and that's why they have numeric data over here for the process evaluation. Okay, so guys, these are the tables which they had for the results section, and I would like to show you the appendix just as an FYI, because they had done such a good job. So the guys, their study was on physical activity, Samoans in New Zealand and stuff like that. So they had actually used the Angelo framework. So the person who had written the introduction, in which she had mentioned the Angelo framework, and it was her responsibility to design, because she wanted that marks. Okay, so she designed this appendix 1 Angelo framework because to support her introduction. And she said that, you know, these are the various macro, micro environmental factors. And of this, XYZ is the one that she is using to design her intervention on. So all that is written in her introduction section, but she actually showed me the working of modifiable, non-modifiable factors. Where is the gap and which one is she focusing on as part of her intervention using the Angelo framework. Then this is again something which is so fantastic that they had the person doing the method section, I think they had done this, in which you know how I had told you there are various ways to do risk assessment. I had taught you that in one of your lectures, and even at that time I said that one of the students previously, and now I can see it is this group, they had used this risk assessment framework as well to justify their gap in the literature and the importance of doing a intervention on, say, increasing their knowledge and awareness about culturally acceptable physical activities. So you see that they had actually used this risk assessment framework to come to a conclusion that it is not just the literature which is saying that there is a gap in literature, and that's why we should be developing a nutrition education on XYZ thing, but even the risk assessment framework says this is the most feasible thing that we can do for our study. And I was like blown off. I'm like, I don't know, I didn't have words. I was speechless. It was like tears of joy. It's like, you know, when your babies do so well, it's like, it's the, you know, it's like the most happiness when you get is when your student surpasses you. And when your student surpasses you like this, meaning surpasses your expectations, you are just amazingly blown off. And I have to, like, I say this with a lot of pride that a couple of students, with their sort of rigor of work and their practice, they have surpassed me in many areas of knowledge which they are doing as part of their, work life. And I just feel so proud, like, when your student is doing better than you, um, like, you just teach them the basics of things, but when they grow above and beyond that basics, it's like you just feel so proud. It's like that's how a true academician should feel, like, when your student is like doing great and doing amazing in their work life, and overall they are just happy even in their personal life as well. Like, okay, you just need a balance of both, but I just feel very proud when I see my students doing so well in life. Okay, and they're still in touch with me after 10 years, which is like fantastic. um, so yes, guys, moving on to their next appendix. This is the work delegation plan, which is one of the mandatory things which you guys have to do. So this is how they had done it, which was really good, the way they did it, what, when, who. It's amazing how they came up with their own format and things, but it was very clear, it was very well done. Then they did a Gantt chart as well. Okay, so it was very detailed, very precise. This is something which you will be doing as well. It's a mandatory one which you need in your appendix. They did a logic model, which was fantastic. They did such a good logic model. All right. So if you see, everything is like, it's like one page each. So it's not that they have even like surpassed that thing. So it is actually all just one page each. So they did a logic model to expose you to high quality materials such as this, which informs your learning at the end. All right, so guys, I'll sign off over here. These are the key things which I wanted to share with you. I have shared with you. I'm just looking at all of my documents which are open to be sure that I have not missed out anything. No, I'm not. I have not missed out anything. This is all that I wanted to share with you guys.